I think I look mean. Whenever I look in the mirror, I look at myself and it's not even like they're there. It's weird. And then whenever I get drunk and look at it, it's like, whoa, I have all these tattoos.
From his current situation to his past trials and such, join me as we talk about Post Malone and his health issues. Number 4, the situation with Post Malone. For those of you who somehow don't know, Post Malone is one of the most beloved rappers and hip-hop artists in the world today. He is known for his outlandish style and yet heart-wrenching lyrics at times. He can be very funny. Just watch a video he did once where he went undercover at a record store for Omaze, and to be very serious about things going on in his life and in the world. And yet, recently, fans aren't so sure what's going on with him.
Hey, how are you? Can I help you find anything? My name's Skylar.
Oh my God. Are you Post Malone?
No, you got me already.
In this day and age we live in, you know that it must take something pretty big for fans to get worried about someone like Post Malone. It's true that we've lost all sorts of celebrities in the past few years, and many of them to tragic circumstances. But here's the difference. We knew what happened there most of the time. But in the case of Post Malone, not so much. Usually, it's just his bravado and his personal style that shows that he's fine. But even his fans have a limit in regards to how much they'll say is a normal Post Malone. To truly understand this, let's head to the beginning of this incident. Post Malone was doing a concert when some fans noticed some things were atypical even for him. For example, he was slurring his words as he sang, never a good sign, especially when you're in the music field. They could tell that his eyes were rolling into the back of his head at points, which is not normal even for him. And as if that wasn't enough, he would fall onto the floor in a way that wasn't tripping or running into something, or something that was clearly planned for an event. While you might be able to excuse one of these, as things just happened and chalk it up to natural health issues, all three at one show? No, that's not going to fly with the fans. And the fans made their voices heard about it.
What is that palate picking up?
I'm picking up some
A grape.
yeah.
You can't sit there and tell me that this is normal behavior from Post? It's not, and the man needs help before something bad happens to him, said one fan in a tweet that was removed. Whether it's alcohol or drugs, he's not using them for fun anymore. He's abusing them, and it's too much now. People are worried. Here's another fan's response to what happened, and noting what they felt was the reason for the incidents. Guys, please, Post Malone has been acting weird on stage since a few weeks. One person tweeted on Friday, "I'm not going to try to assume anything, but he looks like he's under drugs. So please spread this video. We've lost too many artists on overdoses. I hope he's going to be okay." As noted earlier, it takes a lot to get fans worried, especially given the life and times of Post Malone. But it's clear they were worried, and they had every right to be. For like that one fan said, there have been a lot of passings in the rap world in the last few years, and many of them have been because of substance abuse and the like. It's not a good look for the industry, and the fans are no doubt fearful that any of their favorite stars could be next. So when they see suspicious behavior, like with Post Malone, they're going to respond to it. So thus the question became, was Post Malone on something? Or was this something a bit more basic? Number 3, the response to the accusations. Celebrities have to face a lot of things in their careers, and not all of it is your basic Hollywood drama like with roles. Sometimes they're dealt questions that, if answered, could ruin them or paint them in a bad light. So, when someone gets dealt questions about something like drugs, you always have to wonder how the person will respond to them, or even if they will respond to them at all. After all, if they say one thing and then get caught in a lie, they look even worse than they did before. And I'm sure we all know celebrities like that.
It's not about being a superstar, it's about being a human being.
Cool.
You know, and I really appreciate that. I mean, one of these guys here was saying like some bullshit earlier.
And that's a no-go. Then again, if they don't talk about it at all, or ignore it, it could pass over. Or it could intensify the scrutiny of the person and lead to all sorts of problems. Which one did Post Malone do? Well, at a concert, he spoke to the fans directly about the accusations. "I'm not on drugs, and I feel the best I've ever felt in my life," Malone said reassuringly on video captured by fans. "And that's why I can bust my ass for these shows and effing fall on the floor and do all of that shit," Malone added on Friday. "But for anyone that's concerned here, I appreciate the love and support, but I feel effing fantastic, and I'm not doing drugs." Far be it from us to be cynical, but it's not really clear if we can be believing in regards to how he's handling this.
I'm not on drugs and I feel the best I've ever fucking felt in my whole life.
After all, the evidence from the fans shows that something was wrong with him, and he literally brushed over the fact that he fell on the floor and all of that. That's not exactly the words that a person who's honest with himself would use. Plus, addicts and people on various substances do feel great when they're on them. That's why they keep taking them. And they don't want to give up that high or feeling. And that's what makes this kind of addiction so scary, because it can come out of nowhere, get a hold of you, and then you don't want to let go. Just as scary, Post Malone himself noted that this happens when he was talking about the loss of Lil Peep. According to Variety, he said, "I remember when Peep died and there was a bunch of shaming like on social media, like, oh, all these kids doing their effing drugs, and at the same time, you don't know what someone is going through, and you don't know how easy it is just to get caught up in something to the point where you can't stop. It's not your fault." And while that's kind of true, it also is kind of not. Yeah, it's true that it's easy to get lost in the substances, but it honestly is your fault for trying them out when you know that there are risks to them. That's why there are so many passings through these things. These guys and gals using them think that they can handle them, and that the side effects or the risks won't affect them. But they do. They do really badly, and that's how many lose their lives.
He was sipping, and he had me sipping for about a week. 3 or 4 cups a day.
And sometimes, the drug alters your mind to make you think that it's better than anything you've gone through in your life, which is wrong. So being honest here, can we believe what Post Malone is saying? Can we truly believe that he's okay? It's hard to say. Number 2, a history of this? At this point in a celebrity story, we'd usually be talking about his or her past convictions in this area in regards to drugs or alcohol abuse or various other things that point to this being a pattern. But here's the thing, technically, Post Malone doesn't have that. To be clear, we know he's drank alcohol. He's even had a song about beer pong, but it's never been to such a thing where it's caused problems. Or at the very least, it's never been reported. The same as with drugs. While he definitely seems like the guy who would do drugs for one reason or another, he clearly didn't do them to the extent that he got caught and arrested like many singers and celebrities before him. In truth, despite his style being one that many have said is a very drug-riddled in its words and beats, Post Malone is a rather competent guy in keeping himself above the board in most things. Most times, you can go to Star's Wikipedia's page and see all the issues with health that they've had over the years, or the arrests that they've had. Post Malone doesn't have that. His only major controversies have been over things he said and not delaying certain concert tours. Of course, you could question his mental state at times because of how he handles his body. His body is literally covered in tattoos, and they've only grown more numerous and more skin covering as time goes on. Is this just the way he wants to look, or a cry for help? I'll leave that up to you. So if it's not his basic MO to do these kinds of things and act this way, what is going on with him? Well, there is one other health issue that Post Malone does have a history with.
And whenever I moved here to LA from Dallas, I slept in my friend's closet for 3 months.
He looked like he slept in the closet for 3 months.
Number 1, relationship issues. There are many hallmarks when it comes to Post Malone, and many of them are often very positive and funny. But then, there are the issues that continue to plague him in ways that is kind of depressing. His relationships with women. To be clear, he's never been a bad boyfriend, that we know of, but he does have issues letting go of past loves. While many of his songs are light and upbeat, there are just as many that are slow and rather depressing and are about the loves of his life leaving him. At one point, he actually gets killed in a music video because of a love, and then gets resurrected just so he can haunt her and her new boyfriend and make her feel guilty for leaving him. And others have him noting quite solemnly that she, whoever this girlfriend was at the time, was the love of his life. So perhaps the real reason for everything going on is that he's having relationship issues with his current girlfriend and wants to escape from it all. If this is the case, then fans can feel at least somewhat relieved because he's likely just going through a phase that he can bounce off of once things cool down. But if that was the case, why didn't he just come out and say that he was just going through some things? Why did he say it in front of a crowd that he's never been happier? Maybe he was trying to save face. Maybe he was trying to keep everyone happy and not worried about him. In truth, only Post Malone knows. So what do you think? What do you think of this recent thing with Post Malone and his current and past health issues? What do you think is wrong with Post Malone right now? Which factor do you think is playing the most into his condition? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.
Everyone counting on me, drop the ball. Everything custom like I'm at the bar.